What started as a class project at UB has now become a thriving new business venture. Here to talk to us is Benjamin Davis, owner of Drive Green Rentals. Good morning and welcome to Bahamas at Sunrise.
Good morning and good morning to the entire Bahamas and hope everyone is doing well today.
Yes, thank you for joining us dead early. You know, you probably got a busy Friday, so we thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Great. So, firstly, your business, Drive Green Rentals. Tell us, what is it all about?
So Drive Green Car Rentals is pretty much a car rental company that just takes a spin on the traditional, likeness of it. So all of our vehicles are fully 100% electric. So that's no gas, no dirty fumes, and generally it's just a whole kind of really cool new concept that persons like because whether or not you wanted to, save the environment or whether you just wanted to save a couple of dollars at the gas pump, there's this whole new thing that you just kind of don't get anywhere else, and it's a novel idea that people tend to like. So that's the I guess the short, really condensed version of it. It's a car rental company that only rents electric cars. We pride ourselves on both our customer service and the fact that we tell people we have no hidden and no extra fees.
That sounds amazing. First of all, it's affordable, no hidden fees. And then, it's sustainable using electric cars, helping to reduce our carbon footprint on the environment, which, is very important, especially since COP26 and just trying to define new strategies for small island developing states like ours to help in the bigger problem of, global warming and climate change. So tell us, how did this grow from a class project into a viable business?
So yeah, that's actually one of the interesting things I like to tell about my company. It did start off as a class project while I was at University of the Bahamas in an entrepreneurship class. The final project was to come up with a business plan and basically have it to the point where, even though it's only a class, this is a business plan that's ready to go to investors. And by the time I finished the plan, and I'd always been interested in cars, I'd always been interested in technology, and somehow just kind of said, oh, well, what about electric cars, or And by the time I got to the end of the class, my lecturers, my business advisors, in the School of Business, and my parents, everyone was like, I think this is something you need to look into a little further. And so that's when I started to say, okay, well, let's really start to look at this and look at the real, viability of this. And the first thing I did was I actually, believe it or not, sold my car and got a electric car because I said, if this is something that I'm gonna start looking at, I think I need to actually be able to experience it firsthand. And once I got my first electric car and said, okay, I know it works in theory. Now I have my own car. I've driven it for a few months and I know it works in practice. This is pretty cool because, you end up with, okay, it works. And everyone says it works on, you watch the YouTube videos, but does it work with our, particular roads? Does it work when it starts to flood? And I found out that it worked better than pretty much every other car out there. So I said, this is something that needs to be done. And that's when I started really pursuing trying to find out how to get funding and financing through that.
Oh, perfect. That leads right into our next question perfectly. So tell us about the Access Accelerator from the SBDC and how it assisted you in growing your business.
All right. So I do believe that Access Accelerator, Small Business Development Center would have been, pivotal in what it took in order for me to get to where I am today. So the Access Accelerator would have taken the plan that I would have had, and you have got assigned an advisor who basically is able to go through your stuff and say, almost playing devil's advocate for lack of better words, I guess, and say, if we're gonna have to pitch this to investors, what about this, what about that? And it really helps because it gives you a chance to basically get a second and a third and a fourth pair of eyes on work that you would have seen. And by the time you get to see a business plan a couple of times, it's like, okay, this all makes sense to me, but maybe it doesn't make sense to somebody else. So your advisors are there to help you walk through this and say, have you considered this? Have you considered that? And then, I remember going through, I probably have already, I did Rev A, B, C. I think I probably have up to Rev K or something for my business plan, just going through different iterations, making different tweaks and saying, okay, if we do this, how do we do that? And, at the end of that entire, I guess, advisory period, then they say, okay, something, I think you're ready. and they can now go ahead and present your business plan to, one of their partners, because the SBDC basically, links you with either lending institutions, be it, debt financing, be it equity financing, investor partners who are able to then go ahead and give you that backing, that financial, that little boost that you need to get to where you have in your head.
Yeah, it seems like it's a very robust program that the SBDC is engaged in. You get the advice, or like you said, the advisory role, where they serve almost as a mentor, giving you tips on, how you can tweak your business plan, how an investor might be thinking, and then they connect you with the actual investors. So that's amazing. Tell us, who is your primary market for your business?
We're mostly in the tourism market. We found out that most people tend to like the whole idea, especially if you're going to try something new while you're on vacation. When we originally started off, we always thought that we'd have most persons who, were already this little eco-conscious mindset. And they said, okay, well, I want to keep my carbon footprint, very, very low while I'm on vacation in the land of, the beautiful sand, sea, sun, beaches, and whatnot. But it ended up turning out that people just, saw the idea and they said, oh, well, something, I guess it's similar to how, you see all the tourists on the scooters and whatnot. You probably wouldn't see them on a scooter in New York or Florida, but they come down to the Bahamas and they want to try something new. So, yeah, so I would say most of our customers are either tourists, and we have a small percentage of corporate customers as well who, it's just a lot simpler for them to rent with us instead of having to now worry about, having to repay people for fuel, repay people for this and all these other different things. And it's just, okay, get the car and it's all electric, so you don't have to worry about it after that.
I love the idea of a guilt-free vacation, where you're reducing your carbon footprint. You've come to our wonderful islands of the Bahamas, where we're clean, green, and pristine. And you have the educated traveler out there that is aware of, you sometimes tourists leave behind more than just footprints in the sand. So I appreciate your business model is helping to tap into that group of travelers. And also here in the Bahamas, we have an educated market here that is aware of the carbon footprint issue, and I'm sure would love to try these electric vehicles. I would love to try it. So tell us, what do you love about owning your own business?
That would be, I believe, the freedom and the flexibility that comes with being an entrepreneur. So, it's not always about the time that you have. Like, granted, it is, nice to be able to say, well, I don't have a car to deal with this time, so I can actually, maybe make a quick run to the grocery store, whatever. I'm not, necessarily tied to a 9 to 5. But I think for me, it's actually being able to make those business changes and being able to see how things work and say, something, XYZ doesn't work, so let's try ABC. Because I've worked at companies before and I'm able to sit back and say, I don't think this is really the best way to work. But of course, most companies may not just want to hear from the person who's, down on at the bottom of the food chain or whatever you want to call it. So being able to actually, run something how I have it in my head and being able to look at how things are going and say, something, this plan that we had on day one isn't necessarily working now. So how do we now pivot to something that's going to work, or being able to adapt to the changes, or, even, being able to stay afloat during things like the pandemic and whatnot. So I think that's the greatest thing that I like about being an entrepreneur, being a business owner, is that I can now make these own changes myself and be able to, call people in and say, hey, I'm doing this. What do you think about that? And being open to the flexibility, I think.
I love it. You're the captain of your own ship, right? And there's nothing like that, right? So tell us, as we wrap up, would you recommend the Access Accelerator SBDC to people thinking about going into business?
Oh, absolutely, 110%. I even when I have friends who ask me, how would I do it, or can I help you with this, or can you help me with this business plan? I say, yeah, absolutely. And I say, your next step is go ahead and go on to Access Accelerator website and sign up. I mean, it's a no cost program. You go through, depends on where you are in, with your business knowledge. I mean, they have a program that even basically is, almost like a crash course in a business class, and it teaches you the basics of accounting, or the basics of what you need to do in terms of being in management. Now, I did come from a business background studying at the university, so I didn't have to go through that particular program, but it's there for somebody who may not have gone through any previous business training. And you work your way through a program similar to any I guess, certification or any, degree or whatever like that. And when you reach the end of it, they're able to then, assist you with that funding and assist you with being able to take it on to the next level. So I definitely think that, anyone who is even remotely interested, and I always tell people, I say, you have nothing to lose by, drafting up a plan, by talking to some friends, talking to some family and say, hey, do you think this would be a good idea? Do you think that would be a good idea? Because even still, I have things in my head that I saw an idea the other day, and I think to myself, is this something viable that I could potentially bring to the Bahamas? And the first thing I did was, not necessarily a formal focus group, but you have friends and you have family that you confide in, and you say, hey, what is this? Do you think this works? And after you get past that stage, if everyone is saying do it, if you believe you can do it, go to the Access Accelerator. You're gonna be assigned an advisor. They're gonna help you out, and you take everything from there.
Perfect. Benjamin Davis, man, the mind of an innovator, entrepreneur, thinking sustainable, owner of Drive Green Rentals. We thank you for joining us at Bahamas at Sunrise and telling us about your business and your experience with the Access Accelerator SVDC. Thank you so much for your knowledge.
Thank you so much, Mark, for the opportunity. You take care.
Thank you. You're watching Bahamas at Sunrise. We'll be right back.